Okay, so this is a new to us car, and it's a car that Caroline will have access to and will be driving when she's passed her driving test. And this car is actually an automated transmission. So this is Fiat Group's TCT or twin clutch transmission. And so I was just come down to introduce Caroline to that. She's been learning with me in a manual transmission car, so I was just going to introduce Caroline to that, and so thought we'd share that conversation for anyone else who would find it of interest and useful. Just one thing to say, clearly I'm an ADI and qualified to coach in manual transmission cars, so dual clutch and automatic transmissions are not my specialist subject, so it's not my area of expertise. So this is just a conversation with my daughter that you're welcome to listen in on, but please excuse any errors and take professional guidance from properly qualified people. But as I say, this gearbox is Fiat Group's twin clutch gearbox, and other alternatives would be BMW's DCT or dual clutch gearbox, and again, so dual, it has two clutches, similar approach. And Volkswagen Group, for example, have something called the DSG gearbox, direct shift gearbox. And in all cases, what we have here is a traditional cogged gearbox. So it's a gearbox with various gear cog ratios, just as you'd have in a manual car. But in the manual car, you move the gear selector and change those cogs yourself. In these direct shift gearboxes, or twin clutch gearboxes, as the name suggests, you have two clutches, one operating on the odd set of gears, one operating on the even, and the car and its computer systems determine when those gears are changed. So you're getting the functionality, in effect, of a traditional torque converter automatic gearbox, but with some of the efficiencies, fuel efficiency and performance benefits of a manual gearbox, cogged gearbox. So you're getting the best of both worlds. So certainly it's a direction in which the market is moving, to the automation of gearboxes. So when I learnt to drive, automatic gearboxes were few and far between, and they tended to be reserved for larger cars that you'd waft around very smoothly in, but they tend to be quite expensive, and for larger vehicles. Now these type of gearboxes can be found in the smallest first car, so the likes of the Fiat Mito, the Polo, and so on and so forth would all have this type of gearbox option. So certainly worth being aware of, and certainly in your lifetime, in your driving career, the market will move in that direction, and certainly as we move towards electric cars, automated transmissions of some type will be very much the norm. So we'll just start with having a look at what that means and how it differs from what you've been learning in with a manual transmission car. Now, first thing to note, if we can have a look down in the footwell here, we will notice if I move my feet there that we only have two pedals. So this is a two pedal car rather than a three pedal car. So we have the accelerator pedal as normal and the brake pedal. And this area here is merely a footrest for my left foot. That doesn't do anything, that's just somewhere to rest my foot. But so where the clutch normally would be, there is nothing. So we have a two pedal car rather than a three pedal car. And effectively all we are going to be doing is toggling our foot. So when we want the car to go, we press the gas pedal, and if we want to speed up, we increase the pressure on the gas pedal, and similarly ease off, so ease and squeeze. If we need to slow the car more significantly than easing off the gas pedal, we move it to the brake pedal and press that gently or however firmly is required until we come to a stop. So it really is a toggle between the two pedals. And the gear selection and the clutch movement is fully automated. So if we now look to our gear selector stick here, what you see here, Caroline, is the car currently static, and it is in P for park position. And as you can probably guess what the letters imply, this position would put the car into reverse. This position here would put the car into neutral. for any reason we wanted to push the car or move it without the gearbox being engaged. And this position is drive. Okay, and so that is the basic functionality of the gearbox, and so it would operate very similar. If you left it in this automatic mode, it would operate very similar and give you the same characteristics as an automatic gearbox. There is some other functionality, some more advanced functionality where you can take manual control of it, and we'll come and have a look at that later. And also it has some paddle shifts here behind the steering wheel to change down a gear or up a gear. So we'll come back and have a look at that later in the video. We'll look at how you can apply the principles and the system of car control, how you can take manual control of it. But for the moment, we're just going to focus on the basic functionality, which for many people is all they'd ever use. They just put it into drive and it would function. So we'll have a look at that now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, and with any automatic, when we start the car, we'll place our foot on the foot brake and check it is in the park position. And then we're going to start the car normally. The engine is running, the dashboard warning lights are cleared, and the power steering we can feel has kicked in. So all quite normal as with any other transmission car. Those functions are the same. So we're currently in P. And so first thing, as we said, we put our right foot on the pedal, and I've got my left foot. The best thing to do if you're new to driving a two-pedal car is to put your left foot firmly on the footrest, or even tuck it back out the way so you're not tempted to use it. We're simply going to toggle with our right foot. This car has a traditional manual handbrake, so we will have to release that. So as we go through our POM routine, as we would for a manual car, and the first thing we're going to do is prepare the car. So as I said, I've put my foot on the foot brake, and we are going to, there's a little safety trigger on the front of this gear stick to prevent you moving it accidentally. So I've got to squeeze that trigger and then pull it back to the D position. So we're now in drive mode. And now, having done my observations, so we can do all-round observations as we would normally, I can now release the parking brake, or handbrake, and I'm holding the car on the foot brake. So when I'm now ready to move off, what I'm going to do is gently release the foot brake. And in this car, I will get a gentle creep forward. It'll be a very slow creep forward. So just to demonstrate that, final observations all around before moving off. Check we're safe. Now I'm smoothly releasing the foot brake. All I've done is come off the brake and the car is moving forward. So I'm not yet on the gas pedal. And as you can see from the dashboard there, we're in D1, so we're in first gear. And if I now gently push the gas pedal, as you'd expect, the speed will increase. If I want to bring the car to a stop, I'm checking the mirrors. All I do is gently press the brake pedal and the car comes to a stop. Okay, so I've done nothing, haven't adjusted the gears in any way, I've merely pressed the brake pedal. So once again, if we're going to move off, do full all-round observations. Gently lift my foot off the brake pedal and the car moves forward, and apply gas as we need it. So in these slow speed car park situations, we're just trickling around on light gas in first gear. It's actually changed up now to second gear, so it'll automatically change to second gear for me. So the car picks the gear that is most efficient, appropriate for the speed we're doing, and it gains the most fuel efficiency. So similarly, if we were going to do a piece of low speed parking, we gently slow the car, pick our spot, check over our shoulder, and again just control everything on the brake pedal. So bring it gently to a halt on the brake pedal, and now we want to stop. So in the normal way, we would secure the car, take it out of gear, so slide it into the park position, and we can come off the brake pedal. And if we were going to park, clearly we'd switch the engine off. If we were going to move off out of this parking space, we're going to need reverse gear as we would normally. So again, just in the same way as we started, we're going to prepare the car, so palm the car by putting our foot on the brake pedal. Trigger grip release, selecting reverse gear, taking our hand brake, and as we're securing it on the foot brake, we can now release the parking brake. And I'm looking all round before moving the car. And as I come off the brake pedal, the car will naturally creep back very slowly. So I'm not on the gas pedal at all, the car is just naturally creeping very, very slowly. Now in these twin clutch systems, it's best to avoid too much creeping, and so we do want to be applying the gas just gently when it's possible to do so, to avoid slipping the clutch mechanisms, because it is a conventional clutch. It is in this case it's a dry clutch system. But as you can see, for low speed manoeuvring, the car is making all the decisions. And once again, if we were just to bring the car to a stop, having checked our mirrors, gently apply the brakes, and the car comes to a stop. No need to depress a clutch pedal. There is indeed no clutch pedal to push down, as we said. When we want to move off, having done our observations, we merely release the gas pedal and apply gentle gas. So that is the basic functionality. So if we now go out onto some more open roads and just explore that a little bit more, do a little bit of town driving, and you'll see the immediate benefit in town driving. Is that making sense, Caroline? Is that all? Yeah, all clear? Good. So, the other benefit you can see is my hands remain predominantly on the steering wheel. So as you come through here, we're coming up to a give way. I'm currently in second gear. So I'm off the gas, letting the car naturally slow. Gravity will slow us on this occasion. Taking my observation and then gently applying the gas. But the car has dropped to first gear. It's automatically put itself into first gear. Let's give the learner ahead a bit of space. And now it's changed up into second gear without me doing anything at all. The car's just decided. And it is quite seamless. This is got a nice transmission. So picking through a car park here, there's no worry about this person's about to cross. I just apply the brakes and the car will hold. So there's no worry about putting the clutch down. Checking around, checking the children behind us, gently moving it forward. Again, somebody's about to cross, so I just gently apply the brakes and the car will come nicely to a stop. You. 3 mirrors sweeping, checking for anyone making a late cross, and gently move it forward. Pushchair is safe. So we're about to approach a roundabout, and we're leaving it just in drive. So mirrors, signal, position is to the right hand lane. And we're in the speed phase, and we just adjusted our gas, and we're looking, there's our opportunity, so we just apply gas. The car is now driving around in second gear, signal on exit. Our intention is to take the first exit left, so mirrors, signal, position will be to the left hand lane. We're looking for our gap to open, there it is, so we're just gently on the gas. As we firm the gas up, the car has moved up into third gear and up into fourth gear, all quite seamlessly. I'm not doing anything. The next roundabout we'll look to go ahead, second exit, so I'm checking my mirrors, considering a signal, but it's not necessary at this stage. So we're positioned in the left hand lane, we're now in the speed phase, so I'm merely on the brakes and the gearbox is changing down, still in third gear at the moment. There's my gap opening, back on the gas. Left mirror, left signal. Checking the pedestrian crossing is clear. Final left-hand mirror check before exiting. Cancel the signal now, all 4 wheels are in. gently bring the gas up to the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. And in this gearbox we're in 4th gear at 40 miles an hour. Speed limit increases now to 40 miles an hour. So I'm starting my mirror checks. Heading my view just round the bend before gently increasing the gas. Gearbox has just changed from 4th gear to 5th gear. Traffic lights ahead are red, so I'm checking my mirrors and easing off the gas pedal as I would normally and letting the car naturally slow. It's looking like the lights are going to remain red, so I'm now gently showing brake lights and squeezing the brake pedal more firmly. So the car is now at 3rd gear, 2nd, and we come to a stop and it immediately changes itself into 1st gear for me.
Just going to hold it on the brake.
You can, if a brief, yeah, good question. You can hold it briefly on the brake, or just as you would in a normal car, you can put it on the park brake. But now we can release. So it would hold on the park brake, and so typically you leave it in gear and put it on the park brake. And then when you move off, exactly as you saw there, you just apply gas. Check out the mirrors. Some sirens, so we're just checking in the mirrors for blue lights. Here, checking the mirrors, giving space, and then we're going to move forward. At the roundabout, our intention is to turn left, so mirrors, signal, position. We're in the speed phase now, so I'm just checking the speed on the brakes until I've got my view, confirm my view, back on the gas, flowing on. So you can see in many ways it's a simpler form of transmission for the user, and in this sort of traffic it's very nice. We're going to go ahead at this one, so it's a middle lane selection, checking the mirrors, no signal, smoothly bringing the brakes in, ease off the brakes, back on the gas. So is that making sense?
Yeah. If you're on a hill and you just come off the brakes to go forward.
Yeah, so it will have some creep effect, but this is, again, it's a really good question, because on these twin clutch systems, what you don't want to do is be creeping forward. With the old school torque converters, you could sit on a hill and the gearbox would hold it. You really don't want to do it in these type of twin clutch systems. It's just like slipping your clutch. You know when you slip your clutch on a manual car? Same principle.
So it wouldn't roll back?
No. But you should then apply gas.
Yeah.
It's like an auto hold effect. Actually, I'm going to move across. Thinking about it, we'll take a bit of multi-lane, just so you can then see it move up through the gears and how we'd approach some multi-lane. But all of this, to be clear, is the fully automatic mode, so I'm making no choices about when the gears are changed. So here. Let's get our view on the multi-lane. Brake lights are coming on, so we're not going to go herring down here. So again, let's get it moving along a little bit. We're warned also of an uneven road surface, so brace the camera in the back there. Immediately braking, so the car is currently in 5th, and as I slow, so normally what we'd be doing here would be brakes, 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 either coming to a stop or block changing into the lower gear. This gearbox does work its way down through sequentially, so you can't block change in this one, though you can, using the paddles, drop down a couple of gears, but it's a sequential change, if that makes sense. You can't specify I'm going from 5th to 2nd, for example. So in this sort of traffic, it's absolutely ideal, because you can imagine if this is okay, it's a relatively short queue, but if this was a longer queue, we would be frequently going first, second, stop, first, second, and your clutch leg would be getting very tired, whereas all I'm doing is modulating the gas pedal. So it's very hard to argue against this technology for commuter driving. Second exit. So just to say, holding back on that BMW, just to be clear on their intentions. But now we're in 6th gear, so I'm in the speed phase. So we're in the speed phase, slowing, slowing, slowing. There's the view, off the brakes, on the gas. And we're currently in 3rd gear. Left mirror, left signal. Steering wheel is straight, on the gas. So in the mode we're in now, in the map we're in, the car will automatically select the gear that is most fuel efficient. But what we've got to remember is the car has no concept of where we are on the road. So is a bend coming up? Is a hill coming up? So it merely, at this moment in time, we're on level ground, it will select the gear it feels will give the most appropriate fuel economy. So in this automated mode, if we wanted to have some brief period of override, so a little bit further on we've got some bends coming up and we're in 6th gear at the moment, I may choose to take a lower gear for that. We've got 2 paddles, little switches on the back of the steering wheel here, and that would allow me to change down. So the one on the left here is to change down a gear, or the one on the right is to change up a gear. So we drive the car to the system of car control as normal, so we'll exaggerate it slightly. We've got a chevron bend coming up, so I'll check the mirrors, get the speed right on the brakes, off the brakes, drop it down a cog using that gear change without removing my hands from the steering wheel. So we're in the lower gear, and now as I apply the gas to turn in to balance the car, I'm in a much more flexible gear. Similarly, off the gas, pop it down a gear, on the gas as we turn in. So we've got a brief period, and then the car will revert to automatic. So that gives us some control. Here we're approaching the roundabout, so mirrors, signal, position, speed phase is on the brake, and the gears are being done for me. So speed and gear bit is being done merely by pressing the brake pedal. There's the view on the gas. Checking the cyclist, checking behind. Again, we can now accelerate quite briskly. 4th gear. Speed limit. So that's the fully automatic setting, and as you can see, for many applications, so town driving, motorway driving, that would be, the sensible option. Anywhere we've got heavy traffic, why make life harder for yourself when the technology can now do things much more smoothly than we can? All the synchro rev matching and all the things we try to do to smooth our gear changes, computers can do that far more efficiently. So the engineers are better than us as humans. this roundabout. So I'm checking the mirrors, signal position. We're in the speed phase now. So on the brakes, taking our view. That car is coming round, so it's going to be a stop. So looking for our gap, holding it on the brake pedal, and then as the gap opens, which it hasn't yet, we've still got a flow of traffic. When it does open, all I'm going to do is come off the brake pedal. The car will creep forward just slowly, so you can see there, and then I pick up the pace with the gas pedal. So exactly as normal, once your steering wheel is straight, then you bring the gas in. So the other function that these twin clutches offer you is a degree of manual control. So, as I said, particularly in this mode, and there are various other modes, so this is natural mode in this car, there is a dynamic mode which will hold gears longer and give you more engine retardation, so it's more control. It's designed for control of the car more than fuel efficiency. But there is a mode where we can put it into total manual control, so it allows me to change gears, albeit without a clutch. So all I have to do is move the gear selector across to the left, and it is now in manual control. So we are in 6th gear as we're approaching this roundabout. And the dying changes will still work automatically. So here we are, we're going to be slowing, we can see brake lights, so mirrors, signal, position will be into the left-hand lane. We're in the speed phase, and as I apply the brakes, in this scenario, the car won't continue in 6th gear because that's the gear I left it in. It is changing now, we're in 4th gear now, we're in 3rd gear. And now when I reapply the gas, we will move forward in 3rd gear. But it's now up to me to change up through the gearbox, so it will hold it in 3rd gear until I choose otherwise. So on the straight piece here, I'm going to pop it into 4th before we get to the bend, but it will now remain in 4th gear, so it's not going to change into 5th halfway around this bend. So it gives me nice control. I've got it all on the gas as I'd want to with a manual car. Similarly, I just ease back off the gas pedal here as we approach the next bend, looking through the bend as I apply the gas and turn in. Gentle gas on turn in. Off the gas, blue lights, brakes. So the car in that situation has automatically gone down to 1st. I'm checking the mirrors, moving away off the bend rapidly, and I'm now flicking the right hand paddle to move us up through the gearbox. So we're now in 4th gear. Now remains in 4th gear, so I might want a little bit more control through this junction. Now we're through it, and this is where you can change gear just as you would in a manual car. So you ease off the gas just fractionally before the upshift to smooth the upshift, and then apply gas once the gear has been selected. Does that make sense? Okay, so we've been driving the car in fully automatic mode, and the car's been doing all the changes for us. There is another adjustment in terms of the map we can be using. So at the moment in this car it's called natural. If we push it forward, it goes into what's called dynamic mode, and that just adjusts the throttle map amongst other things. And so whereas natural was prioritized for fuel efficiency, this is more, it has more emphasis on car control, and so it will hold gears longer and give you more control. So for example, through these bends it's holding a lower gear, which is quite nice. So as we turn in on the gas, having checked for the concealed entrance we've been warned of, we're in a lower gear. If we want even more control of that, we can take total manual control. And so all we do is push the gear selector over to the left in this car, and I have now total manual control. So if we're going to make a left-hand turn using the system of car controls, mirrored, signal, position is fine. In the speed phase, bring the speed down, pop it into second gear, which is the gear I want, which I've just done on the paddle shift, and make the turn. And now the gear won't change up because I'm in manual mode, so I do it. But I'm looking ahead and immediately I can see a bend. The third gear is the gear I'm going to want. So again, I just ease off the gas on approach, but the third gear is the one I want to hold, whereas if it was for economy, it would probably be changing up at this point because it wouldn't know that a bend was coming up. And again, we're leaving it in third, getting an early view. Up into fourth, but then we've got a loss of visibility over the brow of the hill. So here, I'm going to ease off the gas, let gravity slow us, so that's the speed phase, pop it into third gear. Do you hear the change there? Until I get my view. Third gear now leaves me well placed. A bit of gravel on the junction there, measured with my application of gas. We can move the car along. Up into fourth. And all of that is on the paddle shifts. It just gives me everything on the gas pedal. So if I want to retard on the approach to this bend, no need to brake, I just ease off the gas pedal, whereas if I've been in fourth I wouldn't get that level of retardation. Again, we want to reduce speed now, because the road narrows from both sides. We've got the driveway mirror, so again third gear, and holding third gear rather than it changing up automatically gives me that total control as we would normally use. It may even be second gear for this one. Complete loss of visibility. There's your view. Complete control. So that's giving us total slow speed control, and again here retardation, leaving it in third gear, so we're not going to bust the speed limit as we come down this hill. Gearbox, they use their brakes, and then the brakes will automatically shift for them. But if you enjoy driving, the process of driving a manual, it does give you the same level of control as a manual gearbox would. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here's the bend. Off the gas to reduce the speed. Take third gear, the lower gear for the bend. Turn in. So system of car control, and that gear will hold as it would as if I used the stick shift to put it in the gear. Brakes. time to do the braking phase as you would quite normally. Now as the road runs, residential, pedestrian. We're going to take the next road on the right, so mirrors, signal, position. Now on the brakes here, the gears are changing down for me because the car can no longer travel in 5th gear, so the gears have actually dropped automatically for me because it wouldn't be mechanically possible to be travelling this slowly in 5th gear, obviously. So I'm now in 1st gear ready to make my turn, but I will now, having made the turn, I will have to change up through the gearbox manually. So 2nd, 3rd, leave it in 3rd to control me through these tight and twisty roads. A bit of brakes, drop a cog on the gas. On the brakes, wrist grounding, checking the crossing is clear. Will change down because clearly we've come to a stop, so the car automatically pops it into 1st gear, checking the mirrors before moving off, and then I have to change it up to 2nd gear. Ease off the gas pedal up into 3rd gear. Down to 1st gear to be clear, so we're prepared and ready. We're looking for our opportunity. So that the car has almost done a rolling 1st gear for us. What we normally do in a manual is a rolling 1st and be prepared and ready to go. Hand is at 12 o'clock position, just as it normally would be. But I'm on the foot brake, and that's the difference. Waiting for our opportunity. Checking our mirrors, coming off the gas pedal and letting the speed fall away naturally. So we've got the speed right, drop it 2 cogs just as we would, and we can use the lower gear now to hold us and give us everything on the gas pedal. Retardation on what is quite a wide open 30 mile an hour limit. So the gearing on this one in dynamic mode, 4th, is also quite flexible. gearboxes is what's called a kickdown function. So we're about to leave a 30 mile an hour speed limit, and if we wanted to pile speed on reasonably quickly, if you stab the accelerator right to the car pit, it indicates to the gearbox that you want to accelerate rapidly. So that's one way of doing it. And similarly, if we wanted to make a rapid overtake, that would be one way of doing it. It's a way of communicating with the car saying, yeah, I want gas and I want a lot of it promptly. The other option here, which I'm going to use in this situation, is because we're in fully automatic, I'm actually going to drop it a gear to third gear. Okay, it's only a 50 limit, but we're doing 30 currently, so in third gear we can check our mirrors, look well ahead, and accelerate quite promptly in third gear. So I'll artificially pop it up into fifth gear now, and actually we'll take it up to sixth. Let's get fuel economy along this stretch, and then we'll look, we've got a series of bends coming up, so we'll see how we apply the system of car control. I'll be exaggerating it slightly because we don't need to do that much speed. But we're currently doing 50 miles an hour in sixth gear. So we see the bend, so we adjust our speed on the brakes, come off the brakes, drop 2 cogs, back on the gas pedal as we turn in to balance us. Similarly for the next bend, we've got a sharp left-hander. So off the gas, gently apply some braking, off the brakes, drop a cog, back on the gas as we turn in, just as we would in a manual gearbox. As the road straightens, squirt, up a cog. For the cyclist, again, drop a cog to give us flexibility. I'm going to hold on the overtake because I haven't got my view. Around the bend, and what you'll notice now we're down at such a low speed, the car has automatically dropped me to second gear, so I'm ready to go. Still quite, haven't got the view around that bend, and we've got one coming off the concealed junction, so we've just got to hold. But the car has got us poised into a flexible gear. The cyclist is going to leave onto the cycle path there, checking the mirrors. Good. Up in a third gear promptly. Road straightens, bit of a squirt, but it's only a 40 mile an hour speed limit, so up into fourth, up into fifth. Just take some economy. So that's how the fully automatic function can be used on a brief section of more open road driving, still with relatively limited speed limits. But you can see if you did want to take more control. As we're heading back into town now, and we're likely to encounter traffic, the simplest option is to pop it across into fully automatic, put it back into natural mode. Let's get the benefits of fuel efficiency. So we're going to go ahead at the mini roundabout, so checking the mirrors. In the speed phase, which at the moment is just a gentle lift of the gas, checking which way this car is signalling. And they are going to turn across our path. So there I just bring the brakes in, the car sorts the gears out for me, back on the gas. Similarly here, I'm easing off the gas pedal as you would in a manual, but whereas now I'd have to be dipping my clutch as I brake, the car does all of that. So I think you can see it's actually, there's an awful, it's very, very hard. I mean, I've been driving, obviously, manual transmissions for all of my driving life, and I do enjoy them very much, but these type of automated manuals are so good now, it's very hard to argue with them. So for your generation of drivers, it will be the future in some format of automated gear changing. Somebody expressed it quite well. So there's a fundamental flaw in the manual transmission, in that it's a 3-pedal system and we come with 2 feet. So I thought that was quite a nice way of that.
You only use one for that.
Yeah, and again, why do we? Yeah, but why? Yeah, we only use our hands and feet because that was how the motor car was originally. It's a mechanical. It's enabling us to engage with a mechanical solution, but had it been invented differently, would we use our hands and feet at all? Will cars of the future require hands and feet adjustment? And the answer is probably not. A lot of cars, just like the training car like the Focus, will combine automated transmission with an electronic parking brake. Again, being old school, I quite like the having a manual handbrake. But for most young people, just being able to flick up an electric parking brake would add to the experience.
It's easier.
So we're in gear, release the parking brake, check the mirrors and shoulder, move the car forward. And automatically changes up into second gear. Brakes for the pedestrian there. Firm suspension and large wheels, so you feel the potholes and the drain covers in this one more, don't you? The most compliant drive. So that's up into third gear. Checking the mirrors in case the lights change. And again, seeing the brake lights and the car coming through and the pedestrian, if I ease off the gas, it just retards just as it, pretty much as it normally would. It's got similar gearing ratios, not exactly the same as the the manual counterpart, but which is some of the reasons why it actually gets the fuel efficiency savings and also the performance advantage. So it will accelerate quicker. Some of it's down to the gearing ratios. Predominantly how they generate the numbers for those fuel efficiency scores. It's all got to be compliant with the new regulations. So, mirrors, signal, position, speed phase. So we're on the brakes. So speed and gear phase. So I'm doing the speed with my brakes. The gears are being sorted for me. It's going to be a stop on this occasion. Haven't got my view beyond the Range Rover yet. Let's take the opportunity. Traffic lights are changing, so I'm checking the mirrors off the gas, showing brake lights, and the car has slotted it into first gear for me. 3 mirrors sweeping, applying the gas. Maybe roundabout, our intention is to turn left, so mirrors. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Our intention is to turn right. We'll try that again. Our intention is to turn right. Mirrors. Signal. Position. Speed and gear. Accelerate. So here we're using the system of car control in a twin clutch transmission. So our intention is to turn right at the next junction. So mirrors, signal, position to the centre line. In the speed phase, so we're off the gas, on the brakes, taking the momentum, looking in, final right hand mirror check, lifesaver look. New road, new mirrors.